Hello students and welcome to the class. Today we are going to study literary devices. First, the question which is coming to our mind is what are literary devices? So, the term literary devices refers to the typical structures used by writers in their works to convey his or her messages in a simple manner to his or her readers. When employed properly, the different literary devices help readers to appreciate, interpret, and analyze a literary work. Two kinds of literary devices are there. They are literary elements or literary techniques. It will be convenient to define them separately. Literary elements have an inherent existence in literary piece and are extensively employed by writers to develop a literary piece. For example, plot, setting, narrative structure, characters, mood, theme, moral, etc. Writers simply cannot create his desired work without including literary elements in a thoroughly professional manner. And the next one is literary techniques. On the contrary, are structures, usually words or phrases in literary text that writers employ to achieve not merely artistic ends but also readers a greater understanding and appreciation of their literary works. For example, metaphor, simile, alliterations, hyperbole, allegory, etc. In contrast to literary elements, literary techniques are not unavoidable aspect of literary works. Now, moving further, we are going to see what are the literary devices. The first one is allegory. And the define for allegory is a work that symbolizes or represents an idea or event. That is allegory. In simple terms, literary devices are also known as poetic devices. You are very much aware that what are poetic devices. Now the second is alliteration. What is it? The repetition of the same or similar consonant sounds in succession. Next is allusion. An indirect reference to a person, place, thing, event or idea. Analogy. A parallel between disparate ideas, people, things, or events that is more elaborate than a metaphor or simile. Diction, the word choice and speaking style of a writer or character. Elegy, a poem expressing grief over a death. Hyperbole, a statement that is obviously and intentionally exaggerated. Next is irony. And the define for irony is an instance of language conveying the opposite of its literal meaning. Metaphor. A comparison of two ideas, events, objects, or people that does not use like or as. An extended metaphor is a lengthy metaphor that continues the comparison for several sentences, paragraphs, or even pages. Next literary device is mood. The general feeling the speaker evokes in the reader through the atmosphere, descriptions, and other features. Onomatopoeia, a word that is closely associated or identical to the sound it describes. Let's see some more poetic devices or literary devices. Next in the list is oxymoron, a pairing of seemingly contradictory terms used to convey emphasis or tension. Next is paradox, an apparent contradiction that upon further unraveling may contain truth used for effect on the reader. That is known as paradox. Next is personification, leading lending descriptions generally applied to human beings to non-humans. This term differs from anthropomorphism in that the non-human entities are not thought to behave in human-like ways but are merely described in these terms. Next in the list is repetition, multiple instances of a word or phrase, often in succession, used for emphasis. Next is satire, a phrase or entire work that uses irony to behaviors, events, people, or vices. Next is simile, a comparison between objects, events, or people that uses like or as. Next is symbolism, something used to represent a larger concept of idea is known as symbolism. Last but not the least is tone, the speaker or narrator's attitude toward the subject of the piece, distinct from mood in that it is not used to evoke a particular feeling in the reader. I hope students you are able to understand each and every poetic devices today. I have given you very important poetic devices and their definitions. Thank you for today.